So I often get players asking me, when they're returning from an injury, how can they get to a point where they feel more confident in their body and confident that they can go out and play a match and not be at risk of re-injury? So for me, there's a couple of different things which you can have ongoing throughout your season, which are really going to help you in this situation. I personally like to retest players every 90 days throughout the season. So I've always got relatively up-to-date data in terms of their strength and their fitness scores to refer back to should they pick up an injury. That way, if you've done that, you know that you can refer back to those tests, okay? And you know that once you've finished your injury rehab and you retest, you want to be as close to those scores as possible to know that you're at your pre-injury levels. Ideally, what you'd like to do as well is exceed those scores, so better those scores, and then mentally you're going to feel more confident in your injury as well. Now, fitness tests are one thing, actually going out and playing a match and training with your team at a high intensity are a completely different thing, okay? So you need to be mindful of that and need to make sure that just because your injury might not feel painful anymore and you might feel fine day to day, it doesn't mean you're necessarily ready to jump straight back into a match. So you need to check off a few different things, including making sure that you can do explosive movements repeatedly without feeling any pain and without any setbacks, and gradually increasing those day to day and week to week until you get to a point where you can repeat them with no issues and you don't feel any pain and mentally you feel strong as well. What you also want to do is be mindful of your training load. So if you've picked up an injury and not been able to do any training at all, if you then jump straight back into team training or a match, that's going to create a sudden spike in training load, and that's associated with an increased risk of re-injury as well. So what you want to do is gradually increase your exposure to match minutes and high intensity training sessions over time, so you can build up that tolerance, build up that training load again until you're at a point where you're able to play a full match with no issues. And what I'd also recommend doing as well is, even though you might have technically finished your injury rehab exercises, still take the key ones and add them into your strength and conditioning plan and keep those going throughout the season, just so mentally you know that you're still targeting that area and you're still strengthening that area as well, ongoing throughout the season. And the combination of those things is going to decrease your risk of re-injury and give you that confidence that you're looking for in knowing that you can go out and play your hardest and not have to worry too much about re-injuring the area again.